I'm on a website called Turbo Squid, and you can make an account and join it and join this site. What I want to do is grab a free 3D model. This is some of the things that it lists. I'm going to pick something that's going to be pretty simple. Actually, it's a low poly mask. This looks like the mask from Squid Game. So I'm going to go ahead and download this. And I want to open it up as an OBJ. It's probably going to give me a few different file types. I wanted to show OBJ because that's a pretty common file type that you might find. So here I am in Cinema 4D. Let me open up that file. It's going to ask for some import settings. We can just use the defaults, I think, in this case. Let's open that up. I want to get into my standard view because I want to make sure I have my materials here. So a few things to know. I think that the material itself maybe did not come in right because I think it was saved separately, but that's fine because we're going to put our own material on it. What is important is that there is this UVW tag, which will kind of make sure that the material is going to be kind of mapped across the surface. Some other file types don't have that, so that's good to know. These are some other tags here, and you can see this material is placed there. I'm going to make my own material again. Maybe this time we'll do a standard material. And I'm going to click on the color channel, just make sure the color channel is checked, load an image here. And I could probably use one of the images I had before. Maybe I'll use this one. I think I didn't use this one before. Okay, so I have that material, and I can just drag that onto this mask. Whoa, it came in all types of tiled. So that material I had is just really small right now. So maybe what I'll do is make this really large. 4,000. This kind of does something interesting. I think one thing that's happening here is that all those facets kind of came on as their own surface. And this is where actually maybe this UV tag is not working very well. I think we could probably delete this UV tag. But now you see when I put that texture on there, nothing's happening. What we could do is right click on this object. We could, and this is kind of a hack, and it's kind of like a workaround just to do something without getting too technical. So under material tags, it's set UVW from projection. So I've set that up. Now I think this texture was way too large, so let's see what it looks like when it's at 100 and 100. Yeah, now you can kind of see that it's not a perfect match, but it's better than what I had before, I think. And maybe this is not the right texture. We can go in and load a different texture if we wanted to. Maybe this color texture will be better. There you go. So you can start to see what that looks like. And it might be a little bit large, but we can scale it in Mozilla Hubs and just export this as a GLB, file format GLB. And yeah, let's just call this, make sure we relabel this as a GLB, leader mask low poly. Okay, that's fine. All right, so that should be saved out, and we can bring that into Mozilla Hubs. Here we are in Mozilla Hubs. Technically, we're in Spoke, the editing program. I'm going to import my asset, so I'm going to upload that mask that I just created as a GLB file. Here we go. And we can bring this into the scene. Again, this will probably be too large. It's quite large, but we'll scale it down. 0.5 maybe. That looks like it's still too small. again, find the size that works for you. Yeah. And you can see that, again, this one came out a little bit darker than maybe it looked in Cinema 4D, and that's because I didn't put the illuminance channel on, or the luminance channel on, and put the same texture on. That would have given me an effect like this one over here. This one, in a previous video, I showed I import these models. One has a luminance channel on, that's this one, and this one has the luminance channel turned off. So you see it's just a little bit darker. Yeah, but this is our mask in Mozilla Hubs. I wanted to do a quick walkthrough of texturing, putting a material on another type of 3D file that you might see that's pretty common. This one is called an STL, and you'll see this with a lot of files that are made for 3D printing. There are some websites like Thingiverse or other free sites for these 3D printable models. So I'm going to use something called Benchy, which is a pretty standard test print that people will use on their printers. We can this is at 3dbenchy.com, and you can download this from anywhere. Here are some of the free or the places where you can download some 3D models: Thingiverse, Instructable. You can see there's a lot of different places. So if you get an STL file, this is again a quick way to do it. So we're going to download the file. And then we're going to open it up in Cinema 4D. I'm going to open up that STL file I just downloaded, the Benchy. And when you look at the files, there's going to be a lot of different parts here, and I think a lot of these are the individual pieces. But if you just grab this one, which just says 3D Benchy, and you'll see it's a larger file. It's all of the pieces put together, so that's STL. Let's open that up, import it as it is. That should be fine. All right, so we have this piece here. One thing to keep in mind is that this is a pretty high quality 3D model. There's actually a lot of polygons, so if we went to look at the lines here, we would see a really thick mesh. And for Mozilla Hubs, which again is a web browser-based experience, this is going to be way too much. So one thing we can do is change the number of polygons, reduce them. I'm going to use a search function in Cinema 4D. Hold down Shift and C, and you can look up. Looks like I already looked it up. Polygon reduction, and we're going to use this one that says it's a green icon, not the legacy one. If I'm on R25, that's the version for Cinema 4D. You might have an older one. The way that this polygon reduction works is you need to grab the object and drag it underneath here, and so it becomes a child, or under one level down of this polygon reduction. From there, we'll click on polygon reduction, and by tweaking the reduction strength, we can have more or fewer polygons. So if we did something like 96%, this it might take a little while to process. You can see the reduction is happening down here, but we're going to reduce this by a lot. And that looks like something that Mozilla Hubs would be able to handle. Again, I'm navigating around this shape by holding down 1 and clicking and dragging to go up and down, side to side. 2, click and drag is zoom, and then 3 is rotating or orbiting around this. Yeah, so this polygon reduction, I think it's okay. I might be bold and try 97%. Just go a little bit more. Okay, so let's go ahead, and before I texture this, I want to make this into an object or into its own shape, because right now it's kind of it's like this. This is almost like a filter on this 3D object, but I want all the geometry kind of broken out, laid out. So what I'll do is, one thing I can do is right-click on it. I'm talking about this polygon reduction piece. Right-click on it, and I'll say current state to object, and that's going to create this editable version that is there. I'm going to delete this other piece so you can see that as I move around, this is that piece that I had earlier. And that looks okay to me. All right, so I'm going to make a new material. With my new material, I'm going to add that texture onto it. Here's a texture I'll just throw onto it. And I'll turn off reflectance for right now. I think what I'll do is I'll add the luminance channel on, and then I'll add that same texture just so that it creates, it's a little bit more lit. It doesn't look as dark. Maybe I'll tweak this a little bit, but I think that's okay. Click and drag. Now, when I do this, I think it's not going to really function properly. And if you look here, it's a little gnarly. I guess it is kind of working. If we want to scale this down, we could change these numbers, maybe 40 and 40. But it's kind of, 40 and 40. This seems to be kind of working. If this is not working, one thing you can do is right click on it, or I think this will actually change the way it's being mapped. Go up to material tags and set the UVW from projection. So in this case, it looks like it was okay. I think, let me look at this. Oh, here's one thing that's happening. This is being mapped spherically. So that's kind of pretending like this object is a sphere. But what we can do is change it to UVW mapping, which, again, this is not perfect, but
it maps the material a little bit more closely to the geometry.
If we have this UVW tag, it will allow us to map onto it. If you don't, I think, by default, it might want to try to use a different type of projection. There are other ones here, but the spherical tends to kind of work, but it's if you're not putting it on a sphere, it looks kind of weird. The UVW that we did, again, right click on it, go up to materials, set UVW from projection, and then now that you have a UVW tag, which talks about how to set the textures onto that 3D form, we'll go to UVW mapping. And this to me is a little bit better of a map. It is distorted, it's getting kind of stretched along here. But I think for our purposes of doing something quick and easy and kind of rough and maybe glitchy, this might be okay. All right, so if I want to export this out, go to export, GLTF. Again, we're going to save it as GLB. And we can just hop on over to our gallery space or Mozilla Hubs or Spoke, and let's grab that file, 3D Benchy GLB, upload that into our assets. We can drag that into our space. We'll probably need to scale this. It looks like it's really huge right there, so maybe 0.01, maybe 0.04, something like this, depending on how big you want it to be. And yeah, that looks good. You can drag it over a little bit. And that's our Benchy in the space. So we just took an STL file, added material onto it. We set the UVW projection onto it because it wasn't there, and that is because it's came in as an STL, and those files typically I think don't have UVW tags or materials attached to them. But this is a way to get some forms off the internet so you don't have to model them from scratch. We did a little bit of a polygon reduction on it so that it fits in Mozilla Hubs.